The wind blew across the big flat land like a slow breath from the earth. It bent the grass and touched the hills as the sun was setting. The sky looked like old copper with dark spots, full of clouds that promised rain. Down the long dirt road, which was barely more than an animal path, came a person on a horse. She wore an old blanket and stayed so quiet it seemed older than the land itself. Samuel Creek saw her before she got to his porch. He was cleaning his saddle by the lamp, the barn door wide open to the cold air. When he heard the horse's feet, soft and careful, he stood up. His heart felt tight like he was trying to remember a name he couldn't recall. He looked through the misty air, and there she was. She didn't talk right away. She just got off her horse, her body moving slowly like the end of a long sentence. The horse behind her breathed out steam from its nose. She walked onto the porch like a ghost trying not to wake the living. Then, as thunder rumbled far away, she lifted her head and knocked. What? Twice. When he opened the door, her eyes met his. They were dark as wet dirt, wide but not scared. Rain ran down her face, but she didn't pull back. Her voice was soft, but it had weight. Can I stay here for tonight? For a moment, the world felt like it stopped moving. Samuel didn't answer. Instead, he got down on his knees. Not to worship her, not even to be polite, but something stranger. Maybe a memory of kindness or shame. He reached for the edge of her blanket, not to take it off, just to see if she was real. Her boots were worn out, cracked at the bottom. Her braids were loose from the wind. There was mud on her dress and a quiet sadness that stuck to her like smoke. She didn't step inside. Not yet. Inside the cabin, the fireplace still had some heat. He stirred it gently and added 2 logs. She moved carefully, looking around the room without touching anything. Her eyes stopped on the old photograph on the shelf above the fireplace. A woman in a white hat, with a crooked smile. Samuel saw her looking and turned it face down. I don't ask questions, he said finally. But if you want tea, there's sage and honey. She nodded a little and sat on the wooden chair by the fire. Her fingers, pretty but rough from work, opened and closed like a beat from another life. He made the tea quietly. Steam curled like ghost light between them. When he gave her the cup, their fingers touched. Neither pulled away, but the moment passed like a quick flash of candle light. Thank you, she whispered. He only nodded. After a while, he spoke again, his voice shaky. You're Running Bear's daughter, aren't you? Pause. Then Samuel looked down at the floor like he was searching for words in the wood. Thought you left these parts. Heard a governor's son offered you a ring made of mountain silver. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I've had enough of being offered things that are meant to keep me locked up. Thunder rumbled again. Outside, the rain started. She drank the tea and stared into the fire like she was trying to remember something she'd never been told. The orange light made her skin glow like carved wood. Do you ever hear your ghosts? She asked suddenly. He looked at the fire, too. Sometimes, he said, but mostly they watch. Night got deeper. He offered her the bed, pulling clean sheets from the chest. She didn't argue. He laid a straw bed near the fireplace for himself, folding his coat under his head. As the wind sang through the cracks in the walls, the cabin filled with a quiet that felt better than warmth. In the dark, her voice drifted. Stone. He thought she was talking to him, but when he turned, she was already asleep. He dreamed of a red ribbon caught on sharp wire, blowing in a dry wind. She dreamed of a black horse on top of a high hill, its rider's hair flying like smoke. A brother's laugh echoed against canyon stone. The world in her dream still knew her name. When morning came, it came quietly. Snow had fallen during the night, just a little, but enough to make everything look softer. He woke up to the smell of oats and the sound of horse feet. She was already outside. No coat, sleeves rolled up, feeding his horses like she'd done it every morning of her life. Her breath made clouds as she whispered to them in her language. His horse, the mare, rubbed her shoulder like giving a blessing. He watched her from the window, one hand against the glass. Something moved in him. Not wanting, not yet. Something deeper. Maybe knowing. He put on his boots and joined her. She didn't say hello, just handed him the feed bag. They worked together like dancers who had once practiced the same song. She began to hum, a low old tune that seemed to rise from the dirt itself. He didn't ask what it meant. She didn't tell. Later that day, they rode into town. His wagon creaked under the weight of hay and stayed quiet. She sat beside him, hair braided now, back straight. The road got narrow between pine trees, then opened into the bones of Pine Ridge. People stared, whispers grew like weeds. Martha Cole crossed herself as they passed. A child was pulled inside a doorway. At the general store, Sheriff Davis met them halfway, hat in hand, lips pressed tight. "Samuel," he said slowly. "Town's small, eyes are sharp." "I haven't done anything wrong," Samuel replied. "Not yet," the sheriff said, "but they'll still talk like you have." The woman beside him didn't flinch. She walked into the store with him, chin up. Bought sewing needles and soap, paid with silver coins. A young boy stared at her from behind a box of apples. She bent down, smiled, and gave him a carved wooden bird from her pocket. The boy laughed. The boy's mother did not. That night, after dinner, Samuel stepped outside to smoke. There on the porch, leaning against the door like a warning, was a broken arrow. No note, no sound, just the wind pressing its cold fingers along his back. He didn't bring it inside. She saw it anyway. At the table, he started to speak, anger threading his voice, but she touched his hand. "Let them carry their own weight," she said. "It's not yours." She told him about her tribe, how they scattered after her father died. How her title became a name passed between politicians like a prize. She talked about Stone, her brother, whose bones now fed the tall grass near Spirit Valley. "I chose a simple life," she said, eyes steady. "I just didn't know how hard it would be to live it." He met her look. "My wife died having our son." I froze. Could have ridden to town for the doctor. Didn't. Buried them both. She didn't pull back. She put her hand over his, not to forgive, but to say, "You stayed." They didn't talk about it again. That evening, they fixed the fence together. Her fingers moved quickly with wire. The sky turned pink above them, the land humming with dusk. A rabbit watched from the bushes, not bothered. At one point, their hands touched. He pulled away first. She didn't seem to mind. In the days that followed, the rhythm of them settled like fresh snow, soft, strange, quiet, until the fire came. It started with lightning out past Widow's Bluff. They smelled it before they saw it. Sharp, bitter, desperate. Smoke bloomed above the hills like a dark sun. Horses kicked against the gate. The air got thick. They didn't wait. They put saddles on the horses and rode out with buckets and shovels, sweat mixing with ash. Wind howled. The fire cracked like gunshots, eating dry grass with hungry teeth. She moved through it like something born for fire. When the flames jumped the hill, he stumbled, lost his grip. She pulled him back. Later, they stood side by side, covered in black soot, watching the last sparks curl. "You saved her," he whispered, looking at his mare. "You saved us." She leaned into him, forehead against his shoulder. "I only did what you would have done." For a long time, they didn't move. Then he said her name slowly like a secret coming back. "Luna." It tasted like wind and rain and cedar smoke. She closed her eyes. "It's the first time you've said it. It wouldn't be the last." The next morning, they sat on the porch, the arrow still in its place beside the door. Sheriff Davis rode in quietly. "They've started a petition," he said. "Don't want her here. Say she's stirring things up." Samuel stood. "I don't care." "I know," Davis said. "But I thought you should hear it from me." After he left, Luna didn't ask what was said. She already knew. Samuel stared at the far-off land for a long time. "You can leave tonight. I won't stop you." She folded her arms across her chest. "I stayed once. I'll stay again." Pause. "I don't run." He looked at her then, really looked. Saw not a princess, not a symbol, but a woman shaped by wind and loss, standing taller than any of them. That night they sat by the fire again, this time closer. When their shoulders touched, he didn't move away. She reached into her bag and pulled out a feather white as milk. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we visit your wife." And he nodded, because love does not always arrive with trumpets or promises. Sometimes it knocks quietly, soaked in rain, and waits for you to answer.